Hey, welcome back to the Ping Pong Flick Show. My name is Chris Wong. A couple things have come out today, and it's not real big news, I'd like to say. One is a leakage, another is a director actually speaking up, and of course, another is an article. Now, this I'm going to start off with is we know about that Krypton series that came out, right? Which is actually kind of an homage to Man of Steel. As you know, David Goyer is involved in that. And a little bit of John Williams. Well, I'm sorry. The John Williams score is in there, yes. But it's an homage to Christopher Reeve as Superman, the Donner Superman as well, as you see in the movie. So it's like an homage to different types of films. And also, kind of a little bit of Smallville I might want to add too. So it's an homage to different Supermans, right? And it's coming from SyFy. Now, SyFy put out an article, a very interesting article today. And the tweet reads this: "The last son of Krypton probably should stick to a moral code and maybe not break necks. Hashtag Superman." So, okay, if this is triggering you so far, yeah, it should. But why we love Superman and how the Snyder movies got him wrong. Now, you can go to this article and you can read it yourself if you want to. But it basically kind of just puts Man of Steel down. So, for all you Man of Steel people who love Man of Steel, you'll probably get very triggered reading this article, okay? But one thing to point out there, it is by SyFy Wire, okay? It is by SyFy, and people are putting two together. It says, wait a minute, why is SyFy doing this? I am not going to support Krypton, the TV series, anymore because Krypton is on SyFy Channel. So at first, when I started seeing the people who start writing back and say I'm gonna not watch Krypton anymore and stuff, I'm like, what is this article talking about? So I read the article, I looked at it, and there's no mention of Krypton at all. So yeah, it's coming from SyFy Wire, and maybe they should actually look at the people that are actually writing articles for their website. But it is not putting Krypton at all. So I feel a little bit bad for the Krypton crew. But some people don't think. They think Krypton crew shares their opinions about that piece. But apparently not. Apparently they are not sharing that piece. As Cameron Cuff, who is playing Seg-El in that movie, someone had asked him what his which of Zack Snyder's DC films do you love most? And he did say Man of Steel. David Goyer, who wrote it, created Krypton. We take a lot of inspiration from Man of Steel. Hashtag Krypton. Hashtag Ask Cameron. So the actor who plays the main character is loves Man of Steel. It's probably the one he loves the most out of Zack Snyder films, and for sure David Goyer is the one who actually helped write that as well. So another person, and that is Corey Trench. He said this: all love for Snyder here from the people who actually work on Krypton. This is in my office. Happy you like the show. So even the creators, the people who made Krypton, actually agree that it's inspired by Man of Steel. Another person, Cam Welsh, says, I hear you. When someone says, yeah, no thanks, won't be watching when SyFy is employing writers essing all over Man of Steel. So Cam Welsh replied back, says, I hear you, and if that's your choice, cool. Just know that the people who work hard on the show have nothing to do with the people writing those columns. In fact, the writer of Man of Steel is an executive producer on Krypton. That film is in our DNA. So there you have it. The person who writing SyFy Wire, doesn't like Zack Snyder's Man of Steel, but he is in no way representing the people who created the Krypton TV series, and maybe they should really look hard and forth about who is writing for that. I mean, though it's an opinion piece, I think it is coming off from a websites related to the SyFy channel, so it maybe not best for marketing wise, but we'll see. We'll see how that. We'll see what happens with that. I don't think the writer has responded to that. And again, it is not in any base saying he's affiliated with the Krypton show at all. He is writing an opinion piece on SyFy Wire, which is the part of the sci-fi shows, and even has that on the website Watch Sci-Fi Shows. So it's very interesting that he'd put that out. It could be in a conversation of what they're trying to do there. Maybe Jeff Johns is trying to stir the ship into towards Donner Superman. As you see, when they added the John Williams score, they added probably the cape and the yellow symbol. So I feel they are going towards in that direction slowly. How much does that influence has taken place after Justice League? I don't know. I think this was already put in before Justice League, as they were already shooting the episodes before that and already editing and then finally put it out. So we'll see what happens after this about, you know, how much Jeff Johns' influence will continue on from here. Now, for an interesting thing that came out is Julian Lewis Jones. He is an actor, and he actually, I'm trying to think. I think he is the King of Atlantis, right? Or at least the CG part or the body of it. Now, I don't know if you remember that scene where Zack Snyder was working on his birthday. Okay, he was editing Justice League, and there was a shot where Jason Momoa swims down, and he goes to what looks like somebody's on a throne holding the trident, right? So that was cut out of the movie. So they, instead of the throne, the guy on the throne, the King of Atlantis, you just see a dead guard, right? Because the Steppenwolf was attacking that point. So there would have been more to that story, and he leaked out this picture of the him as the throne. I think that's him sitting on the throne, or at least a CG thing. I don't know how that works out, but that is him holding the trident. So that is interesting, and I would have really loved to see that. That's hinting that it could possibly be more of Atlantis. There was probably more story there. We already know that Volca was also in those scenes, so we could have got Krypton, but in Atlantis. Scenes like Krypton from Man of Steel, but Atlantis. But of course, they probably wanted to, you know, split that up, save that for the Aquaman movie. So disappointed, but maybe we'll get that later on. You know, things are leaking out now, a lot more so. I don't know. It could be the Snyder cut. It could be not. Maybe they're working CG on it. Maybe that's the post effects of it. I don't know. We'll see what happens from there on. But it's very exciting, and it actually gets me excited to see what type of world Atlantis is going to be in James Wan's movie. Speaking of Aquaman, remember that picture of Dr. Shin, Randall Park as Dr. Shin? It came out. Well, Grace Randolph actually talked about it just today. She released a video about it, and I know we've gone through that same picture over and over, you know, twice already and talked about it. So if you're tired of that, I'm sorry. But she tweeted out, and that's for her video. So she says this. So, wow, last week Aquaman managed to announce pickups, and adding at Park Randall as a brand new character without anyone noticing. So, and in her video, if you get to watch her video, she talks about how James Wan's using the word pickups and what she believes is just to be reshoots, and adding Randall Park late in the game, getting Jeff Johns involved. And, you know, maybe or maybe not, it's true, not sure, but it is interesting what she proposes in her video. And what's more compelling is the fact that nowadays it seems like the directors, including like David F. Sandberg and stuff, are very openly talking about their movie, openly trying to change the conversation by adding their input to it, right? So James Wan actually retweeted that tweet and said this. Hiya, Grace. Love your stuff, so I'll speak up. I didn't add a new character now. Dr. Shin was in the script since day one. I had cast Randall a year ago in Australia, and I think that's Australia. I'm a big fan of his, love fresh off the boat, but I didn't shoot his stuff till now, hence it literally pickups. It's literally pickups with him. Cheers. So There you go. The director just confirming it's not reshoots. He's doing pickups because they didn't have a chance to shoot him now, so they are able to shoot him now as Dr. Shin. Dr. Shin was first to come on. It was already in the script from day one. And he's just confirming that and a lot of articles had ran with that too, like, oh, it's a new character, they added a new character, and some people were like, late in the game, really, this movie's gonna suck, this movie's gonna be blah. So apparently James Wan confirming that is not a new character. They didn't add a new character. And he wanted to shoot Randall Park and hasn't able to shoot them. So now they can. This is literally pickups with just Randall Park. So there you go. There you have it. And for me, I think it's great that maybe this is a good thing, right? Having the directors, the people involved in directing, because we've been having just onslaught of negative articles, and whether it's true or not sure, but it seems to turn what could be a normal thing into a bad thing, right? So like even Ant-Man and Wasp had reshoots, but nobody talks about them. Deadpool had some reshoots, but that was quickly spun out of spun towards positive and stuff like that. So because DC Extending Universe has such a bad reputation right now in social media amongst the mainstream and stuff like that, it's always been made fun of, and it's quick to be made fun of, and it's quick to be judged upon, and so every little thing. But I am surprised though that not many people have picked up on that and actually made some negative articles about it. There were a few, but it wasn't blown out. Like, not every major site says, oh my god, Aquaman's doing reshoots, what's going on, 50%, 100% reshoots, stuff like that. So that's actually kind of good, because that means the production is going sound. There's nothing more there, unlike Justice League, where there was something there, even though even I denied it because I had belief in Warner Brothers and DC Extended Universe. But it's great and apparent that they're doing it right. I think what they're doing is changing that conversation quickly before it gets out of hand. And people like Grace Randolph, who I put that out and actually tried to change it, not towards a negative. I think it was just her opinion, her idea, but it came out negative. It came out towards in a way to say that something's troubling on Aquaman, at least in her viewpoint. She believes so, and apparently, this is one of the few times a director has actually come out and say, no, that's wrong. There's nothing going on here, and explains it away. So I'm very grateful that the directors are coming out now. I don't know if they've been before, but to me it feels a little bit more vocal now, in a way to combat the negativity that's in the DC Extended Universe. And I think that should happen. I'm sure Patty Jenkins have come out before with Wonder Woman, and she's silenced some of those negativity here and there before, and it came out good. So I believe that's what they should do from here on out. Is just completely come forward, and they really shouldn't have to, but if they are, that's great. That's great to change the conversation. Have Warner Brothers let the directors do that, come out and change those conversations. I don't know if they're allowed to or not, or they even have to ask for permission, but I'm glad that it's happening in that suite. But Warner Brothers is a troubling company in itself, and this just came in today about George Miller, right? And there's this whole lawsuit, and you could read in articles about that. So basically, what the George Miller lawsuit with Warner Brothers is that his company didn't get the $7 million bonus for bringing Fury Road in under a budget of $157 million. Now, Warner Brothers, meanwhile, claims the film did go over budget, and over like $185.1 million, and so they're not going to pay him the $7 million. And that is troubling indeed, because that puts a damper on the two Fury Mad Max sequels that he was planning to do. Why does this have anything to do with the DC Extending Universe or the DCEU or Warner Brothers? Well, Well, for one, George Miller was about to work on Justice League, right? He was going to do Justice League Mortals, and he could have possibly be involved in the DC universe. Now, we had that little thing from Cosmic Book News where some dude, I guess he's really into the inside source, and he had a huge rumor that a big name director was going to be part of the DC universe. He put out a whole bunch of names like Peter Jackson, Steven Spielberg, Quentin Tarantino, and we talked about this. I talked about this with Dave the Film Junkie on his podcast. Go check that out. And then we only came up with that Peter Jackson. That out of those names, Peter Jackson was most likely. But when this lawsuit came out, I was like wondering, was George Miller also a name? I mean, there was rumor that he might have done the Superman sequel or Superman Man of Steel sequel. Might have been involved in talks with that. And when he was with the Justice League Mortal, I was thinking, well, he's in Warner Brothers camp at that time, and he would have been a perfect director, I think, for the DC Extended Universe. I would have loved to see what he would have done with any property in the DC Extended Universe. But with Warner Brothers doing this now, not paying $7 million, and that seems like for a lot of people, including myself, pocket change for a company like Warner Brothers, that they wouldn't do that. And that seems a little bit petty to me. I think he is a fantastic director, and I think he should be given given his fair share, whether or not. I mean, it's a legal battle, so we'll see how that turns out. But I think even if you paid the $7 million to him, he's going to make 2 more Mad Max Fury Road movies, and it would have, the profitability would have been there. You could have just added that into the budget of the other 2 movies, right? I mean, how much did it make? Let's see. Mad Max Fury Road was a production of 150. It came out and worldwide made $378 million. So that's not that much considering when you take 150, you double that's 300. So I think it broke even or somewhat like that. So it wasn't that big. But because I'm sure a lot of people watched it after the fact, the sequels would have been a lot better, would have had a lot more money. So just $7 million, biting the bullet, pay the $7 million, and then Miller Company would come back and actually do Mad Max movies. And in addition to Mad Max movies, if he's still around, you could have him sign up to do a DC Extended Universe movie. Then you would have a big name director who can make some visually appealing stuff, who does a lot of great directing in terms of Mad Max Fury Road and how he have come back and made that movie. He could make something pretty visually, artistically fantastic along the lines of how Zack Snyder would have done an art piece. And that would have been quite something for the DC Extended Universe. And in addition to having 2 Mad Max movies, this is a huge letdown for Warner Brothers. I mean, they should have done this. I mean, I don't know who's involved in the litigation, not litigation, but lawsuits for this, but I hope that they grow a brain and see how much profitability, how much of an asset George Miller is, and actually pay them whatever he wants. It's just $7 million in a way so that they can budget that in or do something in a way so that he can make movies. He can make 2 Mad Max movies, which would probably make a ton of money, more money than the first movie, and then he can possibly make a DC film as well. I think they're making the wrong decision by fighting him over such a small amount into comparison of budgets anyway. So That's my thoughts on that, and I really think maybe he was the big director that was rumored to be in a DC to direct a DCEU, but it seems like it's going to be no longer if Warner Brothers keeps this up. All right, guys, what did you guys think about that Sci-Fi Wire article about Superman and how it possibly relates to Krypton? Also, what did you think about that leaked image of the King of Atlantis holding the trident in the cut scene for the Justice League Snyder Cut? Also, what did you guys think about James Wan actually responding to Grace Randolph's video about Randall Park being casted as Dr. Shin? And what did you think? Do you think George Miller would still be a good director choice for the DC Extending Universe, or do you think that are you on Warner Brothers' side or on his side? Should they give him the $7 million just to appease him and hopefully make some Mad Max movie sequels, or are you on Warner Brothers' side and says, you know, you gotta go? Well, let me know down in the comments below. And thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.